Well, today I have such a privilege to interview someone who's become a dear friend. The chairman of the board for our Australian office, Earl Larmar, is with us today. Earl is here because we just finished a gathering of international leaders for our various offices around the world. And Earl made it a priority to be here with us today with his lovely wife, Margaret, who's also been with us. And Earl has such a compelling story of how the Hour of Power touched his life, especially a guy you might know, Norman Vincent Peale, and the impact he had on his life as well. And I said, Earl, let's tell that story to the world. So would you please welcome with me the chairman of our board, Earl Larmar. So we've known each other for a while, but you discovered the Hour of Power in a pretty difficult time in your life.
I did. I had a difficult first marriage, which I won't go into, but I have been watching the Hour of Power for nearly 40 years in Australia. And at the beginning, it was beamed at 8 o'clock in the morning of Sunday morning, so it was very easy and congenial to watch. But it's just been a real blessing to me. This guy's grandfather was just a wonderful man, but he learnt so much of what he learnt from a person who's had the most influence on my life, quite frankly, and that is Norman Vincent Peale. Norman was still on the speaking circuit in his late 80s, early 90s, which is quite remarkable. Just shows you don't have to retire at an early age. Yeah. And he had such an articulate manner with his expressions of English and his phraseology, and I just loved listening to him. And I heard him many times at the Cathedral, and he was a wonderful man, and I learned so much from him. And two of the big attributes which I have related to you that I learned from Norman Vincent Peale, and he said that we should all aspire to have these attributes. And one is outgoingness, a capacity to speak to other people, generate love and energy wherever you are, meet new people, and so outgoingness was something that he said was something that one should try to attain so that you could perform better in life and have a more successful and enjoyable life. But the second one, and more importantly, is enthusiasm. If someone's enthusiastic, it just makes all the difference. And I understand that enthusiasm is literally God within, and he always was an enthusiastic person. I can still see him at the Crystal Cathedral with his gestures of hands and his glowing eyes. Only a small man, but a great man of stature. And of course, he formed the Marble Collegiate Church in New York, and if you go to New York, you go past that if you go on a tour of the bus. So Norman Vincent Peale, as I say, was a wonderful inspiration to me, and also an inspiration to your grandfather.
That's right. He had such a huge impact on this church. My grandpa tried to take that same thing, and you've applied those principles to your own life, which have helped you tremendously in business and other areas as well.
They have. Well, as I said in the earlier service, I'm an accountant or a CPA by profession, but accountants usually are pretty boring individuals. And I've tried to do accounting in a slightly different way, and about 35 years ago, I encouraged my then partnership to buy their own building, and then I eventually bought the building with a group of clients. And then after having done that, I removed myself from the partnership, sold the building ultimately, and that became the catalyst for an ongoing acquisition and sale of many commercial buildings, which have proved very successful and put a lot of money into my pocket and into the pockets of my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've been able to be helpful, generous to many of the ministries that you care about. But at the heart of this is this positive attitude that you learn, this enthusiasm and outgoingness. And as I was hearing your story earlier, when you were kind of going through a really rough time in your life, I went through just a really difficult divorce. It's hard to feel outgoing and enthusiastic when you feel you're in a bad place in your life. And what do you say to people who feel like, well, Earl, I'm just like in a really difficult time right now. How can I be outgoing and enthusiastic?
Well, the most important thing that I acquired from watching the Hour of Power over many years is that there is always hope for tomorrow.
That's right.
And the sun will come up tomorrow. But that was the important thing. And I went on a tour of the Holy Land under the auspices of the Hour of Power back in 1999 and met for the first time this young man. He wouldn't remember me back then because he was only 18. But my wife and I, who were on that tour, and this is before I had met my wife, my second wife.
A Kiwi.
A Kiwi. And she should be the ambassador for New Zealand.
Let me translate. A Kiwi means you're from New Zealand.
Yeah. And she's the most beautiful person. And we had this intersection when we were leaving the Holy Land, and I helped her with her bags, and then she sat on the seat next to me in a bus going to Cairo, and the rest is history. That was about 17 years ago. But Margaret's just been a wonderful inspiration in my life. She's a beautiful Catholic, and she's just about, she's working on me, because I've been a Protestant all my life. But I go to many masses with her. In fact, we attended the mass yesterday afternoon at the Crystal Cathedral, at Christ Cathedral. And so we went up there just to reminisce and to reflect, because that was a beautiful auditorium and something that this guy's grandfather created. And I remember the first time I attended that, I was in awe of just how beautiful it was, and it's still beautiful. But what I see in this guy is a capacity to build this ministry in the future, and this auditorium here is just a stepping stone, I believe, to much greater things that God's going to do in the future for the Hour of Power.
Amen. I believe in that. And you're giving us hope, so thank you, Earl, and we appreciate you.
Well, I'm glad to. God's been so good to me, and mentioning Norman Vincent Peale, I've read all of his books, and the Power of Positive Thinking, of course, is the pinnacle of them all. But one of the things he said in that is that any person with God at the center of his life, if you believe in something, and this is your grandfather, if you believe it, you'll see it happening, and you create energy as you are enthusiastic about all that you're doing, and that energy can light up a room. Yeah. And so it's just been a wonderful experience. As I say, nearly 40 years and still going strong, and hopefully God's got many years ahead of me and certainly ahead of you. You're at the start of your life.
Well, Earl, we appreciate you, and thank you so much for all you do and all the ways you've helped our ministry in Australia. And we know great days are ahead. And whoever you are, we want you to know, whatever you're going through, God has hope for your life. Never give up on a dream that God has for you. Be enthusiastic, be outgoing, be positive, and watch how things change in your life. Earl, thank you so much for all you do. We love you and appreciate you.
Great to be here. Thank you.